Right.
So I have no idea on the concept of time. 5 minutes.
Brian, just want to get a couple. Thank you.
Hey, they're going to go get something to drink.
I'm not trying to do anything other than get the feeling back
That's
in
all
my
right.
shoulders, Dad.
That's all right. How long you been retired?
20 years.
You started as a young man then, huh?
Yeah, I did. That's about, let's see, I went on in October of 1966.
Wow.
Did 27 there. I was a director of security at Busch Gardens for 12 years, and I've been trying to enjoy my retirement for about 9 years.
I understand. Look, he's going to bring you some water.
I don't care if it's cold as long as it's wet.
All right, sir. I've got some here, but you probably want to drink after me because we've got well, we're going to get you some fresh water.
So you're saying you're diseased?
Well, I'm not saying that, but I've been a cop almost 30 years myself. So.
I got you. I understand.
And I hate to talk to you about all this.
Well, I'll tell you the damn truth. I hate to be here. This is crazy. It was absurd. I tell retired cops that you don't do this. But I've never had anybody jump on my ass like that.
Right.
It was crazy. It really was. And completely uncalled for.
I understand. So the lights had been down. What happens?
Well, the guy was playing with a cell phone, so I leaned over and said, do you mind turning your cell phone off?
Right.
And he told me to or something like that. I can't remember. So I leaned back, and he kept on doing it, so I got up and I went and told the manager out front. I said, look, that's bad. I said, I asked him to turn his cell phone off. He's playing with it. He told me I said, I appreciate it. You got to take care of it.
Okay, so he kept doing that. What manager?
Oh, I don't know. Whoever was sitting at the desk. Big, heavy sack guy wears glasses. I don't know. Whoever was sitting at the front desk up there. I don't know who it was.
So what happens then?
Come back into the movie, and the guy had put his phone away, and then as I went by, I said, I see you put it away. I told the manager for no reason. In other words, I went in and ratted him out. If he was going to put it away, I would have gone, you know.
Right.
And he turns around in his seat, and let's get some ice. And he says something about he was answering. You're going to have to get the top.
You got it?
Yeah. And he said something about he was, I don't remember. If it was any of your business, I was texting my daughter or something like that, and you stay the hell out of my face. I think that's when he said that.
Joining us now, forensic criminologist Dr. Laura Pettler. I think you may join us by phone, Laura, but so great always to have you. As a forensic criminologist, let's talk some about this conversation, because if you start listening to this interview, which it was, rights were read to the retired cop, Reeves, the defendant in this case. But Laura, it was a very, I think, conversational tone by the officer in interviewing the defendant.
Yes, Ashley, I agree with you. I think that the detective was trying to keep things calm, and it sounded like while he was definitely being professional, he was trying to also build rapport with his interviewee, which is standard operating procedure in the process of interview and interrogation.
And in building a rapport, is there any possibility that law enforcement treats their own differently than if it had been any other person sitting in that seat of this defendant?
I think that is, culturally consistent with the culture of law enforcement, that it's very possible. And in any kind of interview and interrogation setting, it's commonly known that we always get more in the interview process than we do in the interrogation process. So I think that whether he's a police officer, a fellow police officer, retired or not, I think that the detective is trying to employ techniques that would be consistent with getting more with honey than salt, so to speak, in the interview process as opposed to interrogation. But yes, it's certainly possible he treated him differently because they're both cops.
And let's talk about some of the actual things that were said, because this is part one of this interview, and we will have other additional parts. But in this part one of the things I noticed is that Reeves, as an ex-cop, he had retired 20 years before, said that the lights in the movie theater had been off for quite a while and that he just couldn't remember how long. He wasn't good with time. But as a police officer, I think that I may have an assumption, Laura, that they should be or would be pretty good with estimating time.
I agree with you completely, Ashley. And I thought that his statement, the specific words he used for quite a while struck me. And I immediately noted that in my mind because when you're talking about statement analysis, and that's of any kind of witness that you're analyzing what they're saying, we assume that words mean things, and statement analysis is grounded in grammar, as opposed to a polygraph that's grounded in biomechanical feedback, of the body. So when we're talking about analyzing what people say, the first thing is we assume that they mean what they say. So he means for quite a while. But for some reason, he's not wanting to be specific, and throughout the interview, he's continuing to be very calm and almost sluggish with his responses, as opposed to giving the information over just very, very clearly. I thought that was odd. His choice of words was for quite a while. To me, that meant a longer period of time than just what it would be for, like, the instructions from the movie theater and the previews.
Laura, I could talk to you about this all day because you are so good at the analysis, the forensic part of this. The other thing, let me ask you your opinion of the defendant saying during this interview, I was just trying to get the feeling back in my shoulders, and he kind of threw that into the conversation. So if you're analyzing his behaviors and his words, does that mean anything to you and your expertise?
Absolutely, Ashley. He's definitely considering the element of empathy from the other people, for them to have sympathy for him to be portrayed as the victim, for him to make sure that he is demonstrating that whether he's injured or there's something wrong with him physically, he's definitely, in my opinion, quote unquote, playing that card. Whether it's valid or not, whether it's reliable or not, we have to take other aspects in context of what he's saying and what he's doing, because he could be genuinely injured. But at the same time, one of those kinds of phrases, like when somebody says that, something about, well, I need some water. Is this a delay tactic? Is he creating distance? Is he not wanting to answer questions because he's trying to buy more time to figure out what he's going to say? That's very common in the interview process, especially when it transfers over to interrogation. And so, yes, like having to recall this and bring to the forefront, he's just trying to get feeling back in his shoulders. The word trying, that doesn't mean he is doing it. It means that he's trying to do it, and that he's just doing that, meaning that he's trying to minimize it. But really, it sounds like it's more important to him than actually the words he's using.
Dr. Laura Pettler, forensic criminologist, is going to stay with us because coming up, we have more of Reeves' conversation with the police just moments after he claims he shot Chad Olson in self-defense. You do not want to miss that. It's up next here on CourtTV Live.
To be honest, I'm just here for the snacks.
I'm just here for the drinks.
I'm here for the cash, and I got cash back on all this with Ibotta.
Download Ibotta and get 100% cash back on game day snacks. Ibotta, cash back made easy.
Big George Foreman here, and if you're on Medicare like me, listen to this.
Are you tired of paying for every doctor and dental visit? Worried about the cost of your prescription drugs? Concerned about deductions from your Social Security check every month? If you're new to Medicare, moving, or losing coverage, you may qualify for a special enrollment period.
Here is part 2 of that interview.
So his wife was holding him back. So I sat down, and I think I got the bag of popcorn from my wife. And suddenly he jumps up, and he turns around, and he stands in his seat, which was, well, you saw the crime scene. He was off to the right up there.
Right.
So as he's pushing on the back, there's a crack between us. So I'm leaning back in my chair. I got nowhere to go. And I'm leaning back in my chair. So he kept on hollering, and I'm not sure what he said, to be honest with you. He said something. And that led me to believe he was going to kick my ass. And I don't know if that's exactly how he phrased it or not. So I'm looking briefly. I know I can't go anywhere. So I'm leaning all the way back in my chair as far as I can to get away from him. And suddenly he's virtually on top of me. So because I'm stretched out, if you look at these pants, the pistol was in the right front pocket. And when you're sitting down, there's no way you can get it out. So I'm stretched out trying to get away from him. My left arm is out in front of me, and I think I'm saying either no, 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 or whoa, 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 one or the other. And then suddenly my head was to the right, so he hit me with something. And I assume it was his fist, but I don't know. Let me see. Get a mirror here. Something was wrong with my left eye. Anyway, I had him wash it out for me. So he hit me with his fist or with something. I think he had his cell phone in his hand because I saw the blur of the screen, I guess.
Right.
And I got my left hand out in front of me, and he hits me in the face and knocks my glasses sideways. And there was a young Sumter County deputy that came over right afterwards. And I have frames that you can bend them all over the place. But the left side was stretched out,
So he knocks your glasses off?
They weren't off. They were partially off, and I fixed them where they fit my head again. And for a while there, I was kind of dazed, and it had to be from the strike, even if it was a glazing blow or whatever. But I felt like I had something in my eye. Still do. But not as bad. The fire department guys rinsed it out with some kind of. Anyway, I'm leaning back. He's virtually in my lap. I got contact with something with my left hand. It's dark in there. I mean, suddenly this happened so damn fast. And the trajectory of the bullet should be upward because I came out of my pocket with it, and I'm surprised I didn't shoot myself in the hand. But and good heavens, I didn't need to do that. That was just, I had to say that. I've counseled cops for.
How many rounds you shoot?
One. I guess you could say I was scared.
Okay.
I got arthritis in both hands. My back's a freaking wreck. I was on SWAT for 15 years. We thought we were supermen, and as you get older, you find out you're a physical wreck.
Okay. And you had that gun in your right.
He was in my right front pocket, and I'm stretched out. Well, like I said, you can see the pockets here, and you can't get it out if you're not completely. I'm stretched out in my seat, sort of like this.
Right.
And I'm whoa, 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 or no, 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 and one or the other. And then I'm hit in the face, and it had to be him. He did it. And
you got any idea where you shot him at?
I have no idea. I heard somebody saying he was shot in the chest.
You see anything in his hands?
I think he had the cell phone. When he turned away from me, I looked down and his cell phone was laying at my feet. So I think that's what he hit me in the face with. I didn't see anything else. And I don't know what you guys think.
I hear you. Did your wife, where was your wife at?
She was sitting on the right-hand side. If she's paying attention, and bless her heart, there's no justification for what happened in there. So I understand her.
Still with us, forensic criminologist Dr. Laura Pettler. Let me ask you this time, Dr. Pettler, what stood out to you as you watched this portion of the interview?
Oh, Ashley, I was sitting here kind of jotting down a few notes as Curtis Reeves was talking, and several things are important to note about the second part of this interview. The first word that came to mind the first word that I observed him and I heard him say was the word think. So when somebody says think, they're not sure. When you say, I think it's going to rain, you don't know for sure it's going to rain. You're saying you think it's going to rain, it might rain. And so when they're asking him questions, instead of him being very certain, I stood up, I turned around, I said this, I did that, and taking possession, he says, I think this is what I said, or I think this is what I did. He also said the phrase, to be honest with you. And when anybody says, to be honest with you, I always kind of, perk up and pay attention to what they're saying that about. Because are they really being honest with you, or are they saying that they want to be honest with you? I mean, that means something. That phrase means they want to be honest with you, but they're not being honest with you. So you have to question, what he's saying there. And then the other thing that I noticed right after that, Ashley, was that he stuttered and he said the word when twice. Now, when you're seeing this on the screen here on CourtTV, they don't include in the transcribed language when, when. But he actually said when twice, and I caught that. And when somebody stutters like that or says, I don't know what happened, or when the next thing I know, that's kind of the way he sounded right there. The other thing he's doing throughout the second part of this interview is he is pausing in between words. So he'll say, and then I got up and then and so when I hear somebody do that, I'm thinking that they're not exactly sure what they want to reveal there. They're thinking about, okay, I should say this here. I want to appear calm. I don't want to appear that I'm extremely nervous and anxious. But at the same time, I'm trying to get what I need out, but without giving them too much information. And then he says he doesn't even know if he says no, 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 or whoa, whoa, whoa. He says one or the other twice. He says no, 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 or whoa, 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 one or the other. And he said that phrase actually twice throughout this interview.